Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live with a Chef and a Shaman. This is Chef Whitney Aronoff. Say hello.
Hi,
Whitney.
good
Hi.
evening, everyone.
Wow. So good to see you. You went away. What happened?
I know I feel like it's been so long since I've seen you. I was at the Tastemaker Conference in Chicago last week, which is the premier food bloggers conference. And then today I was at Expo West, which is the largest natural products food expo. March is just the month of conferences, expos, trade shows, all that good.
It sounds like so much fun. What was your biggest takeaways?
With the Tastemaker conference, that's a great question. Um, the largest takeaways for me when it comes to if you're creating a website where you have recipes, and my website, Starseed Kitchen, is where I post the recipes that I create as a personal chef. And so it's understanding kind of the back end information using a WordPress website, using recipe cards, being consistent. But one thing that's really interesting is the most successful food blogs. Um, they're most successful usually because they're putting more comfort food, more processed meals. The healthier recipes don't tend to gain as much traffic, which is just very interesting.
Oh, wow. Why do you think that is?
I really don't know, but it just, it's kind of sad that working with working on health focused recipes are truly a labor of love because the ones that pay are the more comfort food, processed, heavier meals. Those are the recipes that get the most traffic that then make the bloggers money, a lot of money. So it's just really interesting.
I see. I see. Well, hearing that saddens me very much because it tells
I
me
know.
that our society is kind of going in the wrong direction as far as health and health and wellness. So and food.
Yeah, but you know what? Still, it's a reminder to me of just to keep going, and things can get there. But I had a fellow chef on my podcast, on the High Vibration Living podcast, a few months ago. Her name's Marin Epstein, and she not only went to culinary school with me, but prior she had been a colon hydrotherapist for years, and she has her own colon hydrotherapy business with multiple locations, really not just serving people with detoxification, with cleansing their body, but then also providing them with recipes and tips on like just how to live a more health supportive lifestyle and have better digestion, so you don't necessarily have to get colonic so frequently. And she's one of those colon hydrotherapists that walk the walk and talk the talk. She really takes care of herself and juices and works on her emotional and spiritual self. And she had to change her blog, which is called Eating Works, to have more types of blog posts that would drive more traffic because the juicing recipes, the salad recipes, they weren't gaining traffic and she wasn't able to make money and make a living.
Oh, wow.
I know.
My goodness.
So those are my takeaways there. And then today I attended the largest natural products food expo that happens in the United States. So if you want to see all the new food products coming to the market, coming to your grocery store in the next year or two, if you want to see what the food or health food trends are going to be over the next year or two, this is the show to go to. It's where a lot of even the bigger brands are introducing their new product lines. So it's a really great place to go if you work in the industry, which obviously I do as a health supportive chef. And, I have my own brand of organic spices under Starseed Kitchen. So it's great to see packaging trends and packaging changes and all that whole CPG world. And so it was fun to see all the different trends coming up in the food industry and the beverage industry that you guys are going to see this year.
Some really amazing stuff. Uh,
Totally stuff that I know you'd be into and enjoy going to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I find the way food heals very interesting, and I actually wanted to ask you a question, but in order for me to ask the question, I get to precursor it with why I'm asking the question. So today, uh, a couple hours ago, I just got off the phone with my mom, and she let me know that she has kidney cancer, and it's really aggressive. And so inside of her, one of her kidneys, it hasn't metastasized, so it hasn't spread to any of the other organs, which is really amazing.
Really
So they can
good.
just go in and they can just cut the one kidney out, and that'll be that. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what people should be eating if they're at risk of cancer, or if they have cancer. Are there certain foods that they should be consuming that would support them uh, on their journey of hopefully remission?
So there are a lot of different ways to holistically heal from cancer if that's a route that you choose to go. And there are tons of more natural and holistic clinics that you can go to in the United States, in Mexico, in Europe, tried and true places that have been treating this for years. And traditionally, you'll find that the way to heal the body is to first detoxify the body. So, change the type of things that you're putting on your skin, making sure you're using pure products from olive oil to coconut oil to shea butters, you know, thinking about the quality of garments that you're putting on your body, real wool, real cotton, real hemp, you know, talking about your environmental factors, making sure you're cleaning your home with natural, clean products. And then everything that goes in your body. So, juicing, we know, really benefits people who need to heal from any dis-ease. So, adding lots of fresh, cold pressed juices. And it's really juices that are made and then you consume immediately. Understanding that juices that are pasteurized in a sealed plastic bottle aren't going to provide the life force energy that you need. And you know this more than anybody else is when your body is declining in a downward spiral, you need to fill it with life force energy, right? And you get that life force energy from living foods.
Absolutely. And also, when it comes to the kidneys, or if there's a heart problem, or wouldn't it make sense to eat the organ of, if you're a meat eater, if you're a carnivore, wouldn't it make sense for someone that has a problem with their kidneys to eat kidneys from beef or what have you?
Yeah, so one of the easiest way to get the organ meat is to buy the fresh or frozen liver. So beef liver, lamb liver, most people don't find this appropriate, but I think veal liver is really supportive because, um, you know, any animal that you eat that's had a shorter life, I'm just going to have a more pure organ. I mean, your pure meat because it won't have had as many maybe processed food go into it. So chicken livers are popular, but I like buying the liver, grinding it, and mixing it with ground meat and making paleo meatballs or putting it in a soup or a stew with lots of bone broth. That's incredibly health supportive and grounding for the body. So starting the morning with the fresh green juices, a nice big salad, and a health supportive protein for lunch, and then ending the day with a wonderful soup or stew, and then you can mix in those liver supplements or that ground liver. Just everything very much what you and I talk about. What you put in your body, what you put on your body, making sure that is a high vibration quality product um, to bring life force energy back into you. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you have a saying. I'm trying to figure out what it is, but you have some sort of great saying that's something about it's escaping me, but the purification.
When it
The
comes to
pure,
purification.
yeah, it's almost like the purification of everything that you touch and put on you and in you. And making sure it's a pure quality and a high quality.
Well, I'm not sure. But yeah, there it gets to be anything that you put in your body, on your body, and you have around your body is going to affect your health in that way. So your four bodies, your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual body, each of those bodies gets to be cleansed and purified, especially if you're coming down with something like cancer. So
So, so how do you find someone? So let's say this happens to somebody you know, and they're quickly able to align with doctors and practitioners that can help them put together a diet that's going to help them heal from the inside. But then how do you work on the other bodies? How do you work on the emotional and the spiritual and the etheric bodies? Who do you turn to?
exactly. So and so why do people get cancer? And for each of the bodies, the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, you're going to get a different answer. And each of those answers are important to understanding how to completely heal if possible, depending on what stage the cancer is at. Some people, when it comes to disease, there's an arc of manifestation. So if the arc is in the preliminary stages before it hits 50%, then you got a really good chance of going backwards with it if you know what to do and how to apply it. Once you get past that arc, there's a bit of a almost like a gravity pull that makes the disease go faster on the past 50%. It seems to
Mm-hmm.
trickle down, and it's harder. But if you can catch it in that first 50%, if you're healing the four bodies, you have a good chance of beating it. And any cancer survivor will tell you that that's the case in their own words, of course. So, but as far as why do people get cancer? So there's a reason in all the four bodies, right? So spiritually, it has to do with self-hatred and like a deep hurt and a long-standing resentment and a deep secret or grief eating away at the self, right? And if it's in the kidneys, because the kidneys represent criticism and disappointment and failure, then we can see that what my mother was suffering from. And I can tell you, I can attest that that is extremely accurate if I were to look at her life. So her coming down with kidney cancer is completely logical. Now, on the physical, the types of foods that she was eating and the types of things that she was putting on her body was definitely not supportive. Not to mention that she was an alcoholic. So naturally, her kidneys had already taken a pretty good punch. But there's all kinds of other things going on here. She never took out the chemicals in her environment. I mean, even her dish soap was ridiculously toxic. I mean, her laundry soap too, everything. And you can't, you know, I'm not going to mother my mother necessarily. If she wants to know what I do, or you know, I'll share it. But I'm not there to shove something down anyone's throat. I've never been like that. So if I show up in a room, unless somebody asks me specifically, I'm not going to give them advice. And I can tell you, just from different students that have watched me over the years, they've asked me, well, why didn't you tell that person your axiom on this, or your thoughts on that when they were talking to you about this subject? And I said, did you hear them ask me a question? And they'd say, well, no. I said, well, then I don't really have a right to comment. It's not my place. If they want my advice, I'll give it to them. But if they don't and they just want to talk, I'm just going to listen. So
Yeah.
my mother was like that and is like that. So I can tell her until I'm blue in the face, hey, listen, there's a lot of things going on here in your environment. So that's different types of things physically. Emotionally, she held on to a lot of stuff and she didn't process very well, which is part of the reason why she ended up being an alcoholic to begin with. And then when it came to the mental state, I mean, she's a very smart woman, but her patterns of self-deprecation were quite pronounced. So, I mean, that wasn't going to support her either. And then, and then we're talking about the spiritual body. Now, the woman would have spontaneous spiritual flashy events, and I've watched her have them, but she would often brush it off as nothing. So, but at the same time, that's probably part of the reason why she was protecting herself as well, because as a child she went through so much that she needed to I think she just needed to she felt she needed to self-medicate because of all the trauma that happened in her youth. But there was a lot of damage there, and if it happens at a really young age, you get blown out, and you become wide open. And for psychic things to happen to you, for spiritual things, your auric field is more susceptible because of the trauma. So I think that's
more susceptible to being attacked.
More susceptible to having and acknowledging and feeling experiences from spirit. So a lot of people will walk through this life and never have a single spiritual experience. They'll think it's all BS and people's imaginations, but people who have had trauma early in their lives, who maybe aren't even really spiritual people at first, become believers because of what happens to their consciousness as they grow older, because trauma in your youth will create this ability to have spiritual experiences, because it wears away at the veil. It cracks.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. I had no idea.
Yeah. So that's part of the reason. So I see a lot of different types of people, and the ones that are empathic. So you can go either way with traumatic experiences during your youth. So you can either go the path of narcissism, and it's two sides of one coin, right? Or you're going to go the path of an empath. And so your consciousness as a child, usually, because that's when it happens, will pick one. What's going to serve me the most? What is my environment telling me what to do?
Fascinating.
And it'll go one way or another. And for the ones that pick narcissism, I mean, these people are more on the angry side. The ones that picked empath, they're the ones that are more afraid.
See, so I now see that in a former client of mine, but what I see is control and selfishness with the narcissism. I don't see the anger, but maybe that's just not what they showed me while I was in their home. But I definitely saw the obsession to control and manipulate.
And there's a lot of fear there when you get into control. So, and to manipulate, there's a lot of effort put into controlling the outside, because the inside is completely out of control, and there's all these waves going over you. And some people develop OCD. That's another way to truly control and to mitigate that energy that you're feeling and experiencing. Instead of losing your mind, you might develop OCD.
I'm so glad you brought up OCD, because I know that has become a really large trauma response for millennials after COVID 2020, 2021. Many have developed OCD. And a family friend of mine's son is currently going through a program at UCLA to try to heal from his OCD that developed during COVID. But I don't think it's proving to be successful. So clearly it's because maybe they aren't touching probably on his spiritual body that has been affected. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's going to be a deficit in at least one of the bodies when it comes to OCD. And if you haven't touched on it yet, you get to find the body that's the most affected. So in some cases, it is the spiritual body. Sometimes it is. And if it is, then you get to get in there and do the work in order to weed it out. I had a severe OCD at one point in my life as well, and I learned how to heal it by myself. I ended up, there was a couple different categories, and one of the categories that actually allowed me to get out of it was checking things. So I needed to check the stove, the door lock, everything, and it would take me a long time to leave my house. I would need an extra half an hour or so just to leave. And so what I did and how I started overcoming it, because I knew it was wrong, and most people with OCD know that their behaviors are wrong, and they feel guilty and they feel, wow, am I crazy? I know I shouldn't be doing this. It doesn't make any sense. So what I started doing is I started forcing myself to walk away and not check anything, and and create new neurological pathways to make sure. And and I've talked to psychiatrists about it, just because they'll come and see me as a client, and I'll ask them, what different treatments are for this and that and whatever. And I actually just talked to one recently that told me about how to break OCD, and she told, because I explained to her how I broke mine, and she said, well, that's a treatment that psychiatrists use. It's actually one of the ways that they break it in people. They teach people how to do that. So, but I didn't know that. I just did it by myself, but it did work. So it's nice to know that they're using that method as well in their practice.
When you look back on your OCD, do you know which body was the one that was being affected that triggered it?
Oh, absolutely. So it was the spiritual body for sure. I was waking up with bite marks and scratches from being attacked in for where I was at. I had no idea what to do at the time. I was completely ignorant to anything spiritual. I was spiritual, but I didn't have any knowledge. I didn't know what to do with anything. And I would my expertise was, okay, I'm going to go to the psychic guy in LA and pick up some books and try to figure this out. Like, just I had no idea. And no one over there knew either. They just kind of said, oh, well, it looks like you need to protect yourself. You can try this and this. But, the truth is that true spiritual knowledge is, it's really hard to come by. And there's a lot of serious garbage out there. So, God bless. I don't. So I'm not saying anything bad about. I love that store. I love the people that work there. It has nothing to do with them. It's just that when it came to where I was at, I there wasn't any real help for me. I didn't know where to go or what to do. So a lot of what I did was I studied, but a lot of it was instinctual, and I was listening because I could hear my guides speaking to me, and I could hear what I was supposed to do, and I just started following it until I cured myself, really, and that's bottom line. That's what happened. I was able to get out. It was really hard, just emotionally. It was very hard because the pressure of what OCD does to you, uh, it's really hard to explain, but the urges to do certain behaviors are so overwhelming that you can't seem to stop yourself because you feel like you're going to die if you don't do it. And
Yes.
so walking away from it is so incredibly hard, so I'm not going to check the door. I know it was locked. And so what I started developing this habit of, I'd lock my front door and I'd say, it's locked. So I would remember that I locked it because I would remember saying it's locked, and I would frame a memory in that moment so that I would know that I did it in that moment, so I could trust myself. Because part of OCD is not trusting yourself, so you get to do certain behaviors in order to make up for the lack of trust that you have. And so I would leave my apartment and I'd be down the street and I'd have that urge. I'd have that urge to go check, and then I'd stop and I'd remember that moment where I said I locked it, and I'd say, okay, I locked it. Do you remember that memory? It's there. It happened today. I'm not tricking myself. I know it just happened. And then I would just get in my car and I'd drive away. And I did that enough times where eventually the urges slow down, and then they get easier, and then they just kind of go away. But it's imperative to start doing that type of thing if you're going to break your OCD. Make sense?
Yeah, thank you for sharing this. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I want to give you a little shout out. We briefly discussed the fact that I was in Chicago last week at a food bloggers conference, but that was my first time back to Chicago since I had started working with you. And the last time I had been in Chicago was in 2006, and I was heavily psychically attacked. I knew I was being psychically attacked, and I knew I needed help shielding, protecting me, getting stuff off me that was following me. At night when I was in my hotel room and I wanted to go to the bathroom, I was scared to get out of the bed because I felt and saw things around my bed and underneath my bed. So I'd have to jump off the bed to the bathroom, pee, run back, jump onto my bed. I was really scared. Um, and that's one of the things I first discussed with you when I met with you, not just, um, feeling stuck in my life and not able to move forward with my businesses and careers, but feeling like I was being psychically attacked and not knowing who to turn to for help. And I was able to go back to Chicago now feeling fully protected and knowing
Woo!
that my field was strong and protected and knowing that I had the tools to keep myself shielded and protected. So I just really want to give a shout out to you and thank you for all your hands-on healing and all your other teachings. It really, really served me. And I understand that OCD feeling that you experience where you feel like if you don't do something, you're going to die. When I would get psychically attacked, I would feel like if I didn't do certain things, I was going to die, like I had to do them. And I feel so free and so
Oh,
in
amazing.
control of my actions, my body, my life. And I just want to thank you.
Oh, that's so nice. I'm grateful that it worked for you. I mean, you've come such a long way since I first met you. How many years has it been now?
Gosh. We have to double check, but it definitely was like 2017, I think it was.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
you've come a long way. I remember when I first met you. I mean, you had a lot of fear when it came to public speaking, owning your power, starting your business, and you're a miracle. I mean, you're constantly doing those things in your life now, all of the time. You don't seem to have a problem with being, you know, just having the light shine on you and being put on the spot. Whereas before, I don't think you could have ever done that. I mean, it would have been impossible. But yeah, I mean, you've always been really powerful, and it's really great to see that you're stepping into that and you're not looking back, um, because there's a lot that you get to do in this life, and I'm excited to see what you're going to create. So
Let's do it.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well,
So
thank
we
you.
were, what's that?
I said, thank you for sharing everything about your mom. I don't think we talk about the kidneys that much. We talk about the liver a lot. We talk about digestion a lot, the heart. So thank you for sharing that about her kidneys.
Yeah,
And hopefully it allows all of us to kind of check in and send some love to our kidneys.
yeah, absolutely. Everyone, please send a prayer to my mom's kidneys.
And giving this time of year, it's March, we're moving into spring. I can't help but think about some foods that are going to be blossoming in the next few weeks that actually emulate the kidneys. When we look at healing foods, we talked about the organ meat, eating the organ meat of the body part that needs some love and attention, but there's also natural foods in nature that kind of emulate kidneys, and those are real health supportive as well. So if we think of cherries, that classic image of a cherry where there's two on a string, that's another great way to send your kidneys some love, is simply eating some beautiful cherries. You often think of beets and pulling up beets from the ground and the two red goblets and the strings, again, very, very much emulating kidneys.
And
So
it's
there's
good
so
for the
many.
kidneys. It's supportive for the kidneys to eat these things.
Yeah, very supportive, very flushing, lots of love. And then you can think of the color as well. So the color red of cherries, the color red of beets, and how that can support blood flow in that area as well. So if people ever feel overwhelmed by not knowing what to eat to support different parts of their body, it's not complicated. You can just look at the food and the shape and how it grows, how it hangs from a tree, how it grows on a bush, and see how that matches a body part.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and to circle back, just making sure that if you're a carnivore, if you're having a problem with your kidneys, or if you're having a problem with your liver or your heart, eating those organ meats is very supportive as well. And sometimes, if you don't want to eat the meats, there are supplements. They're not as good because they're not fresh. But if you go to the right place and the right store, I mean, and make sure, as an example, if you're trying to heal brain and you're getting brain, it gets to be from a place like New Zealand, because mad cow disease here is a real issue, and if you're consuming that even by accident, it can kill you. So if you're going to take supplements that are brain supplements, that are dried brain, if it's cow, make sure you're getting it from a place like New Zealand, and make sure it's reputable, and make sure they talk about it and say, don't worry about mad cow disease with us, because in New Zealand we don't have that, that kind of thing. Because, that kind of awareness is a good thing when you're getting those types of supplements, in my opinion. Does that make sense?
It does. I take the organ supplements as well. So I take liver and then I take a blend. And I like to take those supplements when I eat food that are similar in nature. So I tend to take the beef or lamb or any land animal liver supplement when I eat eggs or I eat meat. I don't take that supplement if I had a bunch of fish or I just had a smoothie. I make sure that I'm eating it with like-minded foods just for optimal digestion and
Mm-hmm.
assimilation.
Right. Well, and even though there's people talk about the oxalates in vegetables, and how chemically filled the vegetables are nowadays, and a lot of people are healing themselves with carnivore. But without even getting into that, there is something that, if as far as constipation is concerned, there is, you know, uh, I always found that celery juice, if you don't eat it first thing in the morning without eating anything, and it gets to be fresh, you get to drink it immediately after it's juiced. And then you wait an hour after that before you eat anything at all. 4 hours if you want to purify the liver. Then it really does flush everything out. And part of the reason is that for some reason celery juice is, your body thinks of it as food. So it immediately goes into the colon. It does not go into the bladder, it goes right into the colon. And then it starts to, so if you're feeling constipated, it's going to actually give you the moisture that you've been needing to eliminate. So, but you get to do what I suggested, which is do it first thing in the morning. Make sure you haven't eaten for at least 4 or 5 hours. So if you're waking up, chances are you haven't yet because you were asleep. And then wait at least an hour before you start consuming food after that. And it's really fascinating what happens. The juice goes straight into your colon, and then out it goes. It's amazing. So I don't know. You have any thoughts?
I think there's a lot of ways to hydrate your body so you have consistent bowel movements. So I think celery juice is one, but it doesn't work for everyone.
Right.
I think making sure that you drink lots of water, adding sea salt and fresh lemon juice, helps your body actually absorb the water and stay hydrated. The quality of the water really matters. But anytime you eat foods that are hydrated foods, it helps you stay hydrated. So eating cucumbers, eating oranges, look at the food and look at the moisture content of the food, and that's going to serve you. If you eat crackers and bread, that is void of moisture, right? That's what makes it crackery and crunchy and dry. So eating foods like soups where you're ingesting a lot of broth, again, great for digestion because you're adding liquid into your body and naturally into your colon.
It's really interesting that you say that, because I remember, it feels like a lifetime ago now, because I've been doing this for a long time. But when I was much younger than I am now, I worked at a rehabilitation center for seniors. And I'm remembering some of the foods, because seniors are notoriously dehydrated. Notoriously dehydrated. They just don't drink fluids. They don't drink enough fluids, and it always causes problems. But the foods that they would serve them are the types of foods you're talking about. They would be oranges, and they would be broths and soups and things that already had a lot of moisture in them to support them with getting it in their bodies. So I find that really fascinating because when I look back at every time they would eat or the menu, it was always those types of foods. So it was very mindful.
That is really interesting and good to hear.
Yeah, yeah. It's at least one place was doing it right. Can't speak for everyone, but the place I was at, they were good people. They were good people there. But um,
I'm also a big fan of psyllium husk and flaxseed. That's a great fiber and that supports bowel movements. And of course, I'm also a big fan of magnesium and salt baths. That if you do a great salt bath, so if you do a bath with 2 cups of mineral salts, Dead Sea salts, magnesium salts, that will support you in having a bowel movement that evening or within the morning because your body will have absorbed the magnesium all over your body.
magnesium actually helps with a lot of different types of things. Some people have given it for a de-stressor to relax before bed. What are the different other ways that you can use magnesium?
As a chef, my job is so physical. So I constantly consume different types of magnesium because it helps with aches and pains. And that's a big reason why I do the baths is for all the joints in my body. Since we're in Southern California, I keep trying to tell myself I don't necessarily have to draw a bath. I just need to go and do a cold plunge and get into the ocean for, a good while because naturally in the ocean you'll absorb all that magnesium and that health supportive salt. But I love it for joints, for your body, for aches and pains, for your skin. Um, but it's an essential, vitamin, that's in all of us that needs to be balanced and needs to be full. And you know, we just have to be mindful that we're getting all those in. As people have stressful lives, we tend to lose a lot of magnesium with stress.
Mm-hmm. And trace minerals too. I feel like as a healer, one of the things that we lose more of than any other thing is trace minerals. We use a lot of trace minerals when we heal. So if you're a healer, make sure that you have a little vial of trace minerals around from a reputable place and supplement because it'll really support in making sure that you're staying on top of uh, you know what you need to have in your body in order to do your job. So
And that includes silica. All of us need silica, and specifically silica that's from quartz crystal. So you don't want silica that's from horsetail. Horsetail is a type of herb, but it's not supportive long term. And you don't want any of the processed silicas like biosil. You want a pure quartz crystal based silica because the silica in your body is quartz crystal. So important to take that as well.
wow, that's really interesting. Quartz crystal is found in the body. It's
Yes, just
found in
like
the body.
quartz crystal is what runs every computer. Every single computer runs on crystal, quartz crystal. Just like you, every human being has quartz crystal in it. And people who are psychic, intuitive,
No, Whitney, where did you go?
has
Oh, there
more
you are.
silica. Oh no.
Oh no, so you're on a lag and it's okay. You're on a lag and it's okay. Just keep going.
So that's interesting. As I share this important information, of course, it gives us some technical problems, but it's important for anyone that is psychic, intuitive, hands-on healer, energy healer, that they really keep their silica high in their body, and that can also support with better intuition, a stronger third eye.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I could see how that would make it easier to purify as well, supplementing with that kind of thing. I mean, quartz is known for its purification as well, as far as I remember. If I remember my stones correctly. So cool. Well, I had written down a few different, because we were talking about cancer and you know, and the different types of problems that are associated emotionally with cancer and spiritually. So spiritually and emotionally, it's really it's about self hatred and the deep hurt. But we never talked about how to circumvent that, or the mantra that you could be using in order to start to reverse that, at least emotionally and spiritually. So the mantra that I wrote down here to support with that has to do with something along the lines of, I love and approve of myself. I release the past with love.
I love and
Because
approve
people
myself.
with cancer holding on to all that self hatred and just anger and resentment, uh, you know, it really is about releasing the past, not living in the past, living in the present. Uh, it's because there's a lot of adulation along those lines. Just going through things and feeling badly about things that used to happen, and not really living in the present and living in joy as much as they could. There's even if they don't they're not actually experiencing it, and if it's really that far away from their conscious mind and they pushed it all the way back, it doesn't mean it's not there. It doesn't mean it's not doing push-ups in the background. So the one way to suss it out is just by doing a mantra, such as the one I just mentioned, and it's supportive. But I did want to mention there's other types of ailments that are really common that uh, you know have the spiritual application and then the mantra to go with it. So such as migraine headaches, for example, they're pretty common. This that has more to do with like a dislike of being driven and resisting the flow of life. So and sexual fears. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so for a mantra for that would sound something like, I relax into the flow of life. Life is for me. I'm grateful to be here, that kind of thing. And then sore throats. So because of your throat chakra, this is about holding on to angry words and feeling
Mhm.
unable to express yourself, right? And so a good mantra would be, I am free to be myself. And I think you actually read a book that had all of these things in the back that I recommended to you. Did you not?
Yeah, Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Yourself, is a great book for finding mantras. And if you do a good Google search, you can try to find it, but it's really worth getting the book or at least renting it out from the library and scanning through. But you taught me a great tip on what to do with those mantras and using a mala. Can you share that?
So you mean as far as a gratitude walk, or how to use the
How to
mantra?
use, yeah, how to use the mantra with the mala and saying it a certain amount of time to kind of break free.
Okay, yeah, there's, I would say, depending on the level or how quickly you want to move forward. So it's a bit of a balance, right? So it's a bit of a scale. If you tell yourself that you suck a lot, that side is going to be super heavy, and I'm awesome is going to be way up here. It's going to be super light. The idea is that you get to tell yourself that you're awesome as many times as you told yourself that you sucked, in order to even get into the middle of beginning to change your belief system, and then you get to surpass that with the the idea of what you would like to move forward with, and in the belief system of who you are. So uh, some people will go through 1,000 mantras a day until they reach their goal. Some people will try to crack the code by doing 10,000 mantras a day until they reach their number and they feel altered or different, or they begin to actually believe that they're awesome. But part of the trick with malas, I mean, malas have 108 beats on them, and I believe it's 108. Either that or it's 107. No, it's 108.
I think it's
And
108.
yeah, it's 108. And the best way to do malas, I mean, you can do it quietly, sitting in the lotus position with your spine straight, and you can, you know, uh, I'm awesome, I'm awesome, I'm awesome, and go through every bead. And then by the time you get to the end, there's a little tassel to let you know how many you went through. And if you do 10 rotations of that, then, you've done, you might have done your due diligence for the day if you're trying to hit 1,000 or more. But part of that is using all of your senses and all of your bodies at the same time too. So feeling emotional when you do the malas and you're doing your mantras is imperative to actually achieving your goal faster. But also, if you're moving your physical body, then it actually works a lot better too. So if you're going for a walk and you're doing your
Yeah.
malas, that's better. It's better to engage all of your bodies at the same time, because all of your bodies are affected by it anyway. And so engaging your physical body is going to start really integrating it, because the memory gets in the muscles, it gets in the cells. So it's very important. The mental and emotional get to be applied while you're doing the malas. The mental is already happening because it's a pattern of doing the mantra to begin with, but you get to feel passionate about it. If your mantra is "I am awesome," then you get to feel that every single time you say it to yourself, and then you get to move on to the next beat. So so the physical, mental, and then spiritually, it's about connecting with that higher part of yourself while you're doing it. So it's a bit of balancing act, but at the same time, if you do that, even if the majority of your bodies are involved, it's still going to be far more effective than just sitting there, just not giving a crap how you say the mantra and just going, "I'm awesome, I'm awesome, I'm awesome." It's bullshit, but I'm awesome, that kind of thing. So so how you do it is actually really, really, really important. Was that what you were talking about?
Yeah, I think it's important for people to have different concepts or ways to execute using the mantras. They've been such a great supportive tool for me over the past few years, and I have mine that I use every day. Um, and when I say them or I listen to them, because I've recorded my own self saying the mantras, I have them on my phone and I listen to them in the car on my way to work. I hear myself saying the mantra and then I say it out loud in the car. And it just makes me smile and lifts me up and causes all the emotions in my body to participate with the mantra. And then I'm able to see the vision. And, it's just such a wonderful, simple practice that everybody can afford to do.
So Jennifer had a question for you. She said, "What are trace minerals?" Can you answer that, Winnie?
Yeah, so trace minerals they're basically minerals. Um, Simply that. Trace minerals are often found in sea salt. So if you're using real sea salt, one of my favorite sea salts is Redmond Real Salt. You can get those trace minerals in the salt.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Thank you
I
for your
hope that helps.
question. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And so, if you want high quality in a bottle trace minerals, you can go to. We have a place that's close here that's called Mother's Market that has a few bottles of trace minerals that are pretty good. But a vitamin store should have them, and they're actually really helpful. So
Yeah, I've purchased them as well. They should be in a little vial dropper. And you just take a few drops, or you can put a few drops in your water and you're good to go. But start with some sea salt, really good quality sea salt. Make sure you're using salt that is not ionized, that does not have dextrose, any caking agents, any sugar. You want to look for real sea salt or sea salt that comes from an ancient seabed. So I really like Redmond Real Salt, which is from a former seabed in Utah. They don't process their salt at all. They don't strip it of any minerals. It is the pure thing. All the minerals are naturally intact. So if you're looking for something, that's a great brand to choose. Really trustworthy.
yeah, absolutely. So, hey, I wanted to ask you because I was thinking about different things that you've been through with your clients and different types of things that I've been through with my clients. And part of my thought process here was why do you think people lie? Why do you think people, and when I say that, I mean to themselves, to other people, uh, you know, why do you think it's so difficult for people to get honest with, any of their four bodies? So, some people lie about their state of their health. They lie to themselves, like they're going through all kinds of strange things with their body. They're not getting it checked out. They're ignoring it. Um, they're going through this, they're shoving their emotions and putting it in the back, and they're avoiding it. So other than just simple avoidance, don't want to deal with it, why do you think people lie?
Fear,
Right. Fear. And what do you think people are afraid of?
change.
Yeah. And growth, right? I think that
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's like there's this it's anytime you go towards growth, you're going to there's going to be that point of courage where you get to feel the fear and do it anyway. It's just the way it is. And so,
Yeah.
right, and so when people are avoiding their stuff that's right in front of them, all they're really doing is just saying the fear that I manufactured in my own body, with whatever the subject is, or I created in my life with this person, or you know they they're literally afraid of themselves because they're the ones that are responsible for creating that co-creation to begin with. And so I found it fascinating, and it's just something that's been coming up kind of all week. So that was uh, that was really cool. I like to bring up things that are hot topics for the week, as far as different types of things that I'm dealing with clients and people just generally. So I thought I just wanted to see what you thought, because I know that you've been dealing with it in your own life with different people, and you have. So
Yeah. No, I love that. And I love that we get to share that every week. This week I didn't interact too much with my clients. I was in and out just doing my job. Um, but um, but we'll see what comes up next week.
yeah, absolutely. No, I've had a lot of just blindness to action, blindness to action, as far as
Mm.
what's being created, and it's so severe. It makes me wonder, you know, how are certain people doing this when you, they're perfectly intelligent, but it's such a there's such large actions of just avoidance. It's mind blowing. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, you've been busy with learning all about food and perfecting your craft. So it sounds like a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
time to apply it, So, yeah,
Ab-
things like that are always fun, but then you have to drop back into your the real world and your real job and your real career in life, and then figure out how to take what you learn at those conferences or food shows and put it all into action.
Yeah. And how do you put it into action? What do you do? I
Well, it
guess.
all depends on the purpose of what event you went to and what you learned. So, really now it's taking the time to take what I learned at the conferences that I went to or what I was exposed to and, go through all the takeaways, all the handouts, all the business cards, put together the to-do list of the actions that I want to take, the changes I want to make to my businesses, to my life, to my processes, so I can move forward. And that's the whole reason why we go to these things is to gain information so we can move forward. I'm not interested in being stagnant. And to be healthy, no part of the body can be stagnant. So it's always about growth and moving forward.
No, I like that a lot. What you said about the stagnancy. Every single body gets to be in motion. Every single body gets to be evolving and moving forward. So your spiritual body gets to be doing that, and how it gets to be doing that is it gets to evolve, it gets to grow, it gets to learn. You get to connect to that higher part of yourself, and you get to continue to reach for, reach for what you get to become, right? And so and your mental body, with when it comes to thoughts and patterns, and just reading books and doing something that's going to, you know, grow your mental state, you know, whatever that looks like, some sort of knowledge, some sort of learning, education of some kind that will continue to allow you to expand. And the growth in your emotional body is being accountable for what you're creating emotionally, and having the courage to look at everything and under every rock, and exposing that part to yourself, and being okay with being vulnerable about it.
Yeah,
So,
one
right?
thing I've done a lot more of recently for the emotional body is, and we I think had discussed this just personally one on one a few weeks ago, is I send love to people where I may feel there's tension between us. Or I send love to people where maybe when I first think of them, I don't have a positive thought for them. But I just switch it around and I just send them love.
Oh,
And
great.
every morning and every night now, over the past few days, I send love to the people that I do love. I send love to you, to my parents, to my brother, to my home, to my parents' home. And then I extend it to people that maybe I'm not feeling connected to or not feeling like we're understanding each other right now. I send love to them. Um, and I have to say, this practice makes me sleep better at night, makes me have a more wonderful rest, and just brings so much more joy to my life. It really comes back to you tenfold. So, if someone's looking for a simple, free way to support their emotional body, just start sending love to anyone who pops in your mind, whether you love them or not.
Oh, absolutely. And just to piggyback on that, standing as the embodiment of unconditional love towards everything and everyone all of the time, including yourself, of course, is, you know, you get to send love to absolutely everyone. You get to send love to the people that you're not getting along with, the people that you say that you. I mean, take hate, take the word hate out of your vocabulary. Find something in someone to fall in love with. You know, find something and fall in love with that part of them, and release the hate, because really hate is only damaging you. It's only causing problems for you. So sending love to everyone that's ever wronged you in your life, you know, and forgiving them and forgiving yourself for the situation. You should do this before you go to sleep every single night, and never go to sleep until you do it. And it's just a really good practice. I love the fact that you do that, and it's highly beneficial. So, and thank you for sharing that. It's really good.
Yeah, and it really helps you, we're doing this late. People are going to probably get ready for bed after we chat. It helps you fall asleep to just lay in bed, and just the people that first come to your mind, or they don't even have to be people. They can be physical places. They can be physical things. And you can send love to it, and you'll slowly drift off to sleep in the most peaceful way and have the best night's sleep ever. And so I wish that upon everyone who is watching this evening, or watches this over the next few weeks. I wish you the best night's sleep after watching this video, and that you're able to send out lots of love into the world and receive it tenfold.
Oh my goodness, I second that. And that's actually a really perfect note to end on.
Well, and I ask that anyone that watched this today send tons of love to Shamananda's mom. Um, and anybody else who is going through the same experience right now with their health that she is.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, just uh, you know, if anyone out there is suffering from different types of health issues, I hope that some of the things that we talked about was supportive. But if you do have any questions that are a little bit more germane to what you're going through, don't hesitate to leave a message, or a comment below this video, so that we can address it in the next episode that we're going to do next week, so that we can support you, because that's what we're here for. We really just want to support you in wherever you're at and whatever you're doing. And if you're having those types of issues, or any type of issue at all, you know, take a stab at it and see what we can do as far as answering it in a way that'll be supportive. Uh, that would be really wonderful, because that's
And
why
if
we're
anyone that's yeah, if anyone's listening wants to learn more about finding foods that support different parts of your body, or helps break up stagnation in the body, I highly suggest the new Whole Foods Encyclopedia. So it's called the New Whole Foods Encyclopedia by Rebecca Wood, and it'll list every fruit, every vegetable, every seed, every nut, every grain, and it'll let you know what body part it supports, where it breaks up stagnation, and how to properly prepare it for optimal health and well-being.
I love that. And we'll leave a link in the description below for you guys to click on so that you can check that out. Make it easy for you. Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Well, lots of love to you. Lots of love to your family, your friends, everyone in your life. I adore you and love you and wish you the best night's sleep.
Absolutely. And I don't know, I felt like you were saying that to everyone. And I'm going to take it for myself because I love the fact that you said it. And I just happen to be here and I'll receive it for everyone on their behest. So thank you for that. I love you very much. And I'm speaking to you, Whitney, and I'm speaking to everybody out there as well. I'm so grateful that the feedback that we've been getting has been overwhelmingly positive, and we're really grateful to just be doing this for you. So thank you for that. We love you a whole bunch, and I hope you all sleep well and have a beautiful evening, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.